Hey, just a quick warning before we get into this. This video does contain spoilers for the most recent episode of RWBY, so if you haven't seen that, then probably save it for later. Thanks. Hello, my name is Joe, and welcome to my channel. So, the RWBY Volume 8 finale was a lot. We got half of our main cast falling into the void along with Neo. We got a heartbreaking moment of Nora desperately trying to get back into Ambrosius's realm after Jean sent her for reinforcements. And we got Jean killing Penny in order to keep Cinder from getting the Winter Maiden powers. My favorite character being forced to kill my second favorite character. Cool. Cool.
Hey, how you doing? Well, I'm doing just fine. I lied, I'm dying inside.
However, what I think most people will be left talking about over this hiatus is the world our heroes have found themselves in. So, I decided to take a stab at predicting what this world will be and what it could mean for our heroes. Definitely haven't done this theory before, or anything. What? Time travel? Who would ever think of something like that happening? Come on, guys, come on. Anyway, let's get into it. So, there are a lot of theories going around as to what this world could be, from Wonderland to Avalon to even Neverland or the Afterlife. What I believe is that all of these are correct. Because the main inspiration for this world will be Yggdrasil, the World Tree. Now, I'm not the first one to think this. I know that at least Phoenix Knight suggested it in his review of the episode, and I think it was brought up in Collection's livestream too. But I wanted to give my own take on how this might work and what it'll mean for RWBY Volume 9. So, I'm not going to go super in-depth on the mythology of Yggdrasil. It's too complicated, and I don't think a lot of it is super important. What's important to know is that it is a giant tree that connects all the 9 worlds of Norse mythology. So, you know, it would make sense for this giant tree connected to an in-between world to possibly be related to it in some way. Because of that, I think we may be able to get an idea of what we could see in Volume 9 by looking at the 9 realms this version of Yggdrasil may hold. Let's take it a step at a time. First, by listing the realms we know of. First, obviously, we have Remnant. This would likely either be in the place Midgar is usually depicted, somewhere in the middle of the trunk, or at the top, even though that's usually the place for Asgard. But it would make sense for our heroes to need to climb the whole tree to escape. I'm not really sure, but, you know, it's a possibility. Next, we have the 4 realms of the vaults. These don't really need any explanation, I don't think, and they'll probably just be close to wherever the realm of Remnant would be in relation to this tree. I'm also not sure if these would count as 4 separate realms, or if it would just be one giant world. I could see it either way. I do want to come back to this a little later, though, as I did think of something regarding this. Now that the obvious ones are done, let's get into some speculation. I do also want to mention, though, before I get into this, I don't think these will actually be fully separate realms or worlds. I use those terms for how they relate to Yggdrasil, but I don't think there will be, like, different portals and such to fully different universes. Just different aspects of the island they're all on and different themes they could cover. In fact, one theory I've seen posed is that this place is the Afterlife, where they will meet the deceased souls of people they've lost. And I think this feels pretty likely, and it could connect pretty well. I mean, that is essentially what one of the worlds connected to Yggdrasil is, often being interpreted as the bottom layer, which is what the island would be in this case. Taking this idea of the island being the afterlife and the tree being the connection between the different realms of that and the living world, I could see one of the realms we see on the island being something like Valhalla, where it is said in Norse mythology, people go when they die an honorable death. It would also make sense for why Jean was brought along, as it'll likely show one final send-off to Pyrrha. Maybe even Jean trying to pull in Orpheus and Eurydice, attempting to bring her or even Penny back to life, only for it to end as those stories always do, in a very sad failure. It also seems a lot like one of the realms is pretty likely to be Wonderland. We've had a few references to the girl who fell through the worlds, which seems like an Alice in Wonderland parallel, and this could be a good area for Neo and maybe Yang to have ended up in, where they might even encounter a certain Mad Hatter, particularly if the idea of this island being the afterlife is also true. Now, getting into some darker territory, I could see one of the aspects of the island to be some parallel to Neverland. Here is where I imagine RWBY might have fallen, likely being the section of the afterlife that houses children who died too early, left eternally young and never able to grow up. I could even imagine RWBY or maybe Yang landing here and being drawn into that place and not wanting to leave. In a lot of ways, they lost their childhood. Yang practically needed to act as RWBY's mom after Summer left. Meanwhile, RWBY should be barely entering Beacon at this point, if it wasn't for Oz recruiting her early for her silver eyes. A place where they could just eternally live out their lost childhood would probably be pretty tempting. Hi, Future Joe here. Also, this would probably be where Ozpin and Salem's daughters would be. So, that's a thing. Yeah. Now, those are all the in-depth ideas I have, but there could be plenty of others that could be connected to it. It's possible the island isn't even based on the afterlife, or isn't even the afterlife of this world. It could be some combination of Circe's island, or Calypso's island, or even the Lotus Eaters, all from the Odyssey. Any one of those I could see working really well. And beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'm not even sure how all the realms could connect to this world tree. Do the 4 vaults count as 4 separate realms? Does this island count as only one realm or several? We know very little. Literally all we know is the end credits scene, which just shows the tree and the island, so we can't really say. I do have one other idea I want to bring up to you today, though. This relates to what is under the tree. In Norse mythology, under Yggdrasil, there sits a well containing great wisdom. Wisdom which Odin sacrificed his eye to gain. Under the great tree we've seen in RWBY, we will very likely see something like this. And there, I believe, we will find either the crown of choice or the sword of destruction. But I'm actually going to go more in-depth into that in another video, since I wanted to make a revamped Relic video anyway, and this will give me more time to talk about it. But hey, those are just my thoughts. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Think that I'm likely never to recover from the sadness I feel at Penny's death? Let me know in the comments below. And, subscribe. I'm trying to do a video every week or so you might find something you like. Till next time, safe journeys, my friends.